Welcome to Newmarket Vox. I'm Mark Knopf-Thomas from the Newmarket Business Association. Newmarket is New Zealand's retail, fashion, hospitality, entertainment and business mecca. Newmarket Vox is a monthly podcast where we deep dive into the brains of a business leader and hear about what makes them tick. Make sure you're following us at Newmarket NZ on your favourite social media platform, including LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. Also look out for the next issue of Newmarket magazine, which has a print run of 50,000 issues each season and is letterbox dropped into households all around Auckland Central, Fringe and East, as well as parts of Wellington, Christchurch, Queenstown and Dunedin. Coming up later on after the interview is some new and notable things to make you want to come back to Newmarket. We want scandal, we want headlines.
He's like, you're the shoe girl, right? I remember the phone call and I was like, yes, I'm definitely the shoe girl. You learn in business too, right? Like every mistake you make is epic because the more mistakes is the more lessons you've learned. I actually really wanted to be a marine biologist, but then I'm quite scared of sharks. So that didn't go far.
Established in 2003 as a primarily wholesale business and then starting or opening the first retail store in 2011 in Britomart, you can't forget that massive giant shoebox. It was very cool and very quirky. Catapulted the name into households all around New Zealand. I am, of course, talking about the sensational Kathryn Wilson. Kathryn, thank you so much for taking a punt and being part of the podcast and for the very first episode.
Oh, I'm excited. It's a privilege.
It's very exciting to have you here. So basically, we want to take a bit of a look at your life, ask some questions about your background, the business, etc., and just maybe find out some things that people don't necessarily know.
Secrets.
We want the inside word. We want scandal. We want headlines. No, going back, so you are Auckland born and bred, right?
Papakura. 1980, so 80s baby.
80s baby. 80s was a great period for fashion that's coming back again.
Yes.
So you are the youngest of three girls?
3 daughters, yeah.
3 daughters. So what are your sisters? Where are they? What do they do?
We are all really close, quite different. I'm the baby, so mummy's favourite. But the oldest, Nicola was really, academic and kind of set the tone and achieved a lot more than what I could ever dream of. My middle sister went on to have 8 children. So she was a midwife and we're quite different in that sense. And I do think that being the baby, mum was really encouraging of, my older sister had kind of gone and set the bar to be one thing, the middle one the other, and then it set me to be, do something you love, choose a job you love and you never work a day in your life.
Do you know what? I had exactly the same experience. By the time I'm the youngest of 4, by the time it got to me, my dad said to me, just do what makes you happy.
Oh, well, how wonderful.
Yeah, it's good. But the others had a rough ride, but I just chopped through.
Yeah.
So you opened your first retail store in 2011 and you've got stores now in Auckland and in Wellington?
Yes.
So what was the tipping point to make you think, right, I've done this wholesale thing all this time and now I'm going to, bite the bullet and open retail? What drove you to open your first store?
I think I felt that there was an opportunity definitely for the brand to become, a bit more cemented in what we thought at the time. There was a marketing story to go alongside. The Rugby World Cup was happening in Auckland. A lot of, Britomart in particular and the CBD was new build because of that audience coming, an international audience. And I remember sitting with Peter Cooper down at the, offices down there and sold him the dream saying, I've got this idea, I want to make like a giant shoebox and it'd be really cool, it'll look like my packaging, but with a bow on the top, and he said, but why would you want to do retail down here? There's only restaurants and, there's no other stores. And I said, but all those women in Ernst & Young and Westpac and AMP Tower are going to look down on my shoebox in their business meetings, So I thought it was a fun idea and it definitely led to, I don't know if you remember, there was like a pop-up, but these are the days before pop-up stores as well. Then Puma came down with a big container and then Trelise, etc. So it kind of grew a hub, which turned into the pavilions.
Wow,
long term.
I actually remember when the Oriental markets used to be down there.
Oh, cool.
Before Britomart was built. Cool.
Yeah.
It's going back a few years. So in your early years, so you graduated from Massey. And what did you study at Massey?
I did a Bachelor of Fashions, majoring in design. You can't, Bachelor of Design, majoring in fashion. You can't do footwear here in New Zealand, unfortunately. So I actually did an exchange scholarship to England in my second year And then that was when I was able to, it was in Nottingham, Trent, north of London, and like design seminars with 3,000 students learning about trend prediction of colour palettes and packaging and marketing. I just absolutely absorbed everything. Came back to New Zealand, graduated Massey, and then moved back to Auckland, kind of set on being New Zealand's shoe designer.
Okay. So those first few steps when you came back to Auckland, what did you do in those first couple of years?
I applied for an AMP scholarship. At the time, it was through Paul Blomfield, was Fashion NZ, and reached out to me because he'd guest lectured at Massey. And he said, hey, I've heard of this program. It'll be perfect for you. He's like, you're the shoe girl, right? I remember the phone call. And I was like, yes, I'm definitely the shoe girl. And he was like, I've heard of this program. It's really cool because they just support your dream. It doesn't matter whether you're an athlete or a musician or anything creative. I think it'll be really great for you to get some, startup funding. So he helped me with that process. I got $5,000, which enabled us to sample our first designs here in New Zealand. Yeah. And at the time, I'd just taken a job. I'd applied out of the newspaper for Caroline Sills, a beautiful knitwear brand, as an assistant designer. So I was straight out of university, had a full-time job with Caroline and Lloyd, assisting the design process with knitwear. Yeah. And then when I started to make the samples of shoes, I think Caroline and Lloyd saw that I had a passion for footwear, possibly more than the knitwear side. And I was looking to do an internship in Belgium. I'd arranged to go over and live in Antwerp for 3 months and work for a Belgian shoe designer. And when I told Caroline and Lloyd then at the time, they said, well, how about if you stay, instead, and we will help finance you into your first designs. So that was a really pivotal moment. I was 23.
Wow.
And they, I'll never forget how that made me feel so supported and nurtured with their encouragement. I mean, they probably didn't want their designer to leave. It would be a big retrain for them, but also a huge opportunity for me to then take that seriously. And without that, I mean, it's not necessarily always about the money, is it? It's like someone believing in your idea. So having that with AMP, a big corporate saying, you should follow your dream, it's a good one. And then Caroline and Lloyd saying, we'll nurture you through the process. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, it meant that I stayed on board with them for 8 years as an executive designer for the clothing and had the shoes almost like on the side. It turned into more full-time, but initially it was part-time.
So, you said before about being the shoe girl. So when did that shoe obsession, when did it start?
Well, I actually worked at Andrebiani Newmarket when I was 18.
On Broadway?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I love that.
And it was one of my first jobs after school. I used to work in the Manukau Mall because I grew up in Papakura. Yeah. And then worked at Manukau, and then probably a year later, transferred to Newmarket, lived up the road, just up here off Remuera Road. And it was kind of a pivotal time in my life that I realised I don't just love shoes. I'm obsessed with the passion and the frenzy that women have when they come in to try them on, and how people collect them and how it makes people feel a certain way, and the emotion behind putting on a pair of shoes, and it can kind of change your confidence. And I guess I was just getting hooked on that, seeing it every day by people coming in. And I studied a year at Auckland before I went to Massey, and in my first year there, it was one of our papers was to film a process of something being made. Of course I did shoes. And I went out to Perillo Brothers in New Lynn. It was meant to be a 15-minute presentation, and I made a 45-minute video about how to make a pair of shoes. But I think from then I was really keen to pursue it as my career, not just something that I loved.
So you sort of self-taught yourself how to make shoes?
Well, I mean, I still wouldn't say that I could make a pair of shoes. I could dibble and dabble with the pattern maker's help. Yeah. But this was... like the cutting process, the dyes that they have out at Perillo Brothers is no more. But this is before everything got moved offshore. I just was fascinated by the whole process and all the beautiful stitching, that was done out there. The lasting, it's different now with a lot of those automated processes. But I guess I saw that, and when I came back from England with the exposure of how big the industry is and how much opportunity it felt like there was in New Zealand to do something that wasn't so, I guess, like mainstream as some of the other brands that were out there. I wanted to make shoes in limited edition runs for people, to make people feel happy when they wear them, like to bring joy. It was always part of our brand values. It's just around that colour and, of course, comfort, but like making people feel a certain way when they're wearing Kathryn Wilson shoes. So I don't know. I think at that moment, I felt like there was an opening, which has, I guess, like developed. And then when we went out with the first initial designs, we did 7 designs. offered them to 7 stores, just 7 of my favourite stores that was like, let's just see if they can. But some of them were Newmarket with Workshop, Helen Cherry and Chris Cherry. Fabric was in the city, or they had Newmarket at the time as well. And I mean, we launched Anna Bibby Gallery was in Newmarket one night, had a party with like 150 people. I mean, now in hindsight, I don't know what I was thinking, because I launched this brand with all the naivety, like it might not have worked, but I had this big party, just assuming that it would be a runaway success, right? Had a great night, invited all of the industry who came, like all of the, this is back when Wanganui Tannery, Brooke Monks from David Alman, the Perillo Brothers family came. Everyone came to support me, and that says a lot too about the industry.
So you kind of had the vision, and you just lived off that vision, really, and said, right, we're going to fulfill this. We're going to make this happen. Yeah.
I think, and also that wonderful naivety that comes with youth. I was 23. And just thought, what's the worst that can happen?
Jump in.
Yeah.
All in.
Well, and the likes of Steve Dunstan had launched Huffer a couple of years before. Right. Juliet Hogan launched the same year as me. I think we were all just like, Adrian Howard was probably a few years in. 27 Names was the same timing.
It's like the new Brat Pack had emerged.
Maybe. And just all feeling brave and optimistic. And
I love that. So actually, with your shoes now, where are your shoes manufactured? Are they manufactured all over the place?
Yeah, we unfortunately can't in New Zealand. So again, when I started, I went to this industry board meeting at AGM and said naively, who wants to hire me? I'm going to be New Zealand's next name in shoes, and I want to do an apprenticeship, and I'll sweep your floors. And they all just said, pick another career. It's dire. Everything's moving offshore. We're having to close factories. Yeah. And these were really established family brands that had spent, 30, 40 years in New Zealand growing their brands. So it was a shift in time that I guess for them it was quite disheartening not being able to continue production here in New Zealand. For me, at that early stage of a career, it was like, well, that's not a stumbling block, is it? Because you just learn how to speak Italian. And Chinese, and you just do
what you have to do.
Video calls over dial-up Skype back in the day. Or it was a bit like less of a stumbling block probably than an established business that would have changed their model, So unfortunately we've never been able to make in New Zealand, but we make currently in Asia. We're in Guangzhou, which is southern China, with about 5 manufacturers there. Each of them probably have between 40 and 80 staff. So they are really small production houses, and we've worked with them from one with them 18 years we've been with, another one probably 8 or 9 years, one of our biggest partners up there. And so they we're as important to them as they are to us. They're a small business, and obviously with us it's our everything. There's a lot of trust there, but we go up, if we can, 3 or 4 times a year normally. Lately it's been more twice a year when we can. But also out of Italy, we've always worked with an Italian agent, so they represent Italy, Spain, Turkey, Portugal. So it's kind of been, changes over the years. Brazil, for a time, we worked quite a bit out of Brazil. They've had some changes again with sustainability, with the rainforest being cut down, etc.
I know
for farming.
That ethical sort of manufacturing is a huge thing for you in your business. So you're managing that.
And we're just constantly looking at things we can do better and pivoting all the time, because there might be things and new experimenting of new materials that are coming out of certain markets, or they're specialising in tree rubber or algae, anything that we're quite interested. And because I guess being quite at the end of the day, a small business on an international scale, you're quite nimble to change. But of course, we're very loyal to our manufacturing partners we do work with long term. And they're quite keen to, components come from anywhere really. They come from all around the world.
Now, I know, thanks to you actually, I got to spend an enjoyable afternoon with Mr. Jimmy Choo when he came over for that collab between with you and Remix, and we tagged along for the ride with Newmarket as well. How did that relationship get established with him in the first place?
It was pretty amazing. I remember I was asked to judge a student competition up in Malaysia, and it was probably an NZTE affiliation with New Zealand Week, so there were wine brands, food brands, etc. Bo Runga and I got invited to go up.
Cool. And
we stayed at New Zealand House, which was really, la-di-da. But I'm not sure if you know David Pine. He was our High Commissioner at the time. Okay, and I'd been invited to judge, and when they said the dates, I said, I can probably make it work because I'm in Hong Kong around that time. And they said, the patron is Dato Jimmy Choo, Professor Choo. And I was like, I'll be there. I'll be there one of the days. Yeah. And so I went up, had this amazing time, met some incredible, talented students, both from New Zealand and Malaysia, and was part of the judging process. But on that day, we went to this fancy golf course, and, the whole way there on the ride, poor David's wife that I shared the van with was, I had the banter of like, do you think I'm actually going to meet him? Will he actually be there? Imagine if he's there. Like, what am I going to say? Yeah. And so when it finally got to the moment of the day when I was being introduced to Jimmy Choo, Stephen Joyce, who was our foreign minister at the time, this is Kathryn Wilson, New Zealand's best shoe designer. And I was so nervous and so whipped up that I completely made a fool of myself and said, I was so nervous to meet you that I had a dream about you last night. I fell over in front of you. And as I was saying all the words, I was just so gutted that I had ruined my moment. I was like, oh, what a blowout. But then as I looked up, he was smiling and had his arms wide, and he said, but Kathryn, I would catch you. Oh. And I thought, what an amazing human, cool. So humble and a true artisan of, shoe atelier. He's a craftsman. I don't know if you've ever read the book, The Towering World of Jimmy Choo. Yeah. It's a business story about how the brand's been bought and sold and run by other CEOs, etc. But that explains that he's like he tinkers with handmade shoes for celebrities, really, and then served the palace, and when Tamara Mellon came in as a CEO, she turned it into a huge name, business, stores, da-da-da. So I think that for him, I'm not sure at what point, I can't remember what point he exited, but it was more around, obviously, his passion for the craft. So I just loved that about him. That led to us, obviously, kind of keeping in touch with his manager. Yeah. And when Tim Finn said to me, we're thinking of bringing someone like a real heavy hitter down, what do you think we should do? We'll plan a big party. And I was like, why don't we ask Jimmy Choo? Yeah. And Tim had shot a cover with him or some kind of story with him as well up in Malaysia. So when we asked through his management in Australia whether he would consider coming to New Zealand, when they said yes, we were a bit like, wow, what are we going to do with Jimmy? Yeah. So went on to plan a big party, beautiful cocktail evening. I remember the chandelier with 10,000 metres of ribbon and 200 pairs of shoes. And he was amazing. He came and met all of our staff, visited all our stores, had a bowl of fries with him at Dear Joe Voice. We did a walkabout back the streets of Newmarket, and he went in, bought stuff from shops. He was just amazing. Such a good guy. Loved it. Yeah. Changing tack slightly, so your husband Liam, who's a lovely chap, he runs a highly successful PR and events company. You've got a couple of daughters at home. So I imagine life is pretty hectic. So what does a day in the life of the Taylor Wilson household look like? Carnage. Yeah. This morning we're up at 6, as Lola's 9. She has hockey training. She's kind of getting into that quite sporty, active time. For us, I guess it depends. I'm on deadline of the industry, so we're always either creating a new collection, working on that side of research and development, or we're in signing off production, getting things, logistics. At at the moment we've got our summer collection's been loaded at the ports in Guangzhou, so everything's more around the kind of logistics side, and also launching our collections either with pre-order online, kind of managing the marketing team. We've got 4 upcoming events at Solbar, NSP, Queenstown, and next week again at Solbar. So we're into this kind of event planning stage. Right. So that's just speaking on behalf of KW Trading. Whereas I think Liam, he's got quite exciting growth out of Australia, their agency over there. So he's often on flights over there most weeks or every second week. So it's a busy household. We have an amazing nanny to support our family. Stella started school now; she's 5. Wow. Yeah. So it's actually a nice time because I think for me, I found it quite, well, not overwhelming, but quite a shift when you go to that early babies, toddlers. The mums are quite hands-on, and that's been an amazing journey for me. But almost now they're independent, small humans. Yeah. I'm really enjoying the feedback you get from them, and they're just becoming little people. Yeah, they are, and they're quite interested. And starting to ask, can I work with you? Can I come to work with you? It's really nice, and I think they're starting to really appreciate that we do work hard, but you get to love what you do. Fortunately, both of us as parents. It's fabulous. So on that note then, so both of you are living, or the whole family is living life full throttle. How do you relax? Do you have any hobbies? What sort of things do you do to sort of get some downtime, me time? We bought a beach house at Pauanui before we were married, but before we bought our family home, we bought a batch, and it's a true batch. Priorities are right, 100%. Yeah, and I just think, that's a luxury, right, to have a little escape, but we don't take one day for granted having that. I think that separates us from, You know, as soon as we say the kids are at Bombay in the car, their shoulders go down. It's probably because ours mood shifts. We're just kind of, I guess, like, even though we can work from there, we're more available for the kids and they just get more out of us in the day. I think it's probably being outside, being outdoors. I love the horizon. I love to be by the ocean. I find it energizing, but I also love the calm of seeing the end of the, you know.
You're not a flat earther, are you?
No, who knows? I just love the way you can see.
Right, this is going to be one of the more awkward questions of the interview. What has been one of the most embarrassing moments of your life?
Well, one that comes to mind was a few years ago being invited from the Princess Trust here in New Zealand to celebrate some amazing entrepreneurs here out of Aotearoa, and to meet His Royal Highness Prince Charles. It was at a beautiful venue in Mount Eden, Mantau. It was a really special event, and before attending we were sent a brief of how to address him, and you know, when it was your turn, don't speak until you're spoken to, you know, greet him as His Royal Highness, etc. So of course, as people are going around the room, and you know, Josh, Emmett and Helen had a turn, and then Tony Street's here, and then Liam and I are next. And when it came to me, and I remember shaking his hand, and obviously I was just so overwhelmed and so nervous, everything went out the window. So when he went on to crack a funny, he made a joke about something, I reached over and slapped him in the arm. I said, Charles, you can't say that. And not only did I not refer to him as Royal Highness, I was in his personal space, which you're not meant to do, you know. So then, as you know, some key security people came rushing over.
Brilliant.
But it was, embarrassing for me for sure, and I will never forget that moment.
At least didn't kiss him like Ginger Spice.
Oh, right. There was no kissing. No, not this time.
From your own brand, obviously, so Kathryn Wilson shoes, what shoe brands do you love?
Oh, I love a lot of shoes. It's been a bit of a sad change, but Dries Van Noten has always been a brand that I'm absolutely drawn to for probably the colour and prints and textiles that he's used over the years. Aesthetically, I actually love men's shoes. I love how handsome a brogues, and always look to probably colour palettes and trends from menswear. I think there's something quite, like it's so established in like whole, the handsomeness of a structured shoe. Loft of Randall, like a beautiful feminine shoe brand. There wouldn't be many that I didn't appreciate.
Okay, cool.
So many.
Do you have any regrets?
I don't know. I wouldn't think so. I mean, as I say, everything that does go wrong, you learn in business too, right? Like every mistake you make is epic, because the more mistakes is the more lessons you've learned. Yeah. And the quickest way to learn is to muck up. You know, you'll never do it again.
Yeah. So if you've followed down the shoe pathway, is that a pun? Maybe not. But if you had followed a different career direction and you hadn't got into shoes, what do you think you'd be doing?
I actually really wanted to be a marine biologist, but then I'm quite scared of sharks. So that didn't go far. But I was really interested in engineering. So like bridges, structures, motorways. Love looking at why the motorway off-ramp goes that way, and why did they think to put it coming in here. And especially international, like of scale, big double motorway, bridges in Hong Kong and China. Yeah.
I love that. Love that.
Like where the weight scale is. And
okay. Is there anything you haven't done yet in your career or otherwise that you really want to do?
Oh, I love the idea of collaborations. I'm always looking at brands and products that I could sit alongside, with an aesthetic of our brand values being colourful, playful, innovative. I'm obsessed with furniture. I love chairs. We used to have a dining table with 8 different chairs around the table because I couldn't decide which one was, to get a set up. I just love, structural things. I think I find that looks like an architectural object, like a shoe. So I'd love to do collabs probably with interiors. I'd love to do more mentoring. If I had more time, I'd work more with the next generation. It's probably one of my goals.
So if you had the chance to go back and talk to 20-year-old Kathryn Wilson, maybe AI will make this possible in the future, the way things are going, who knows. If you could do that, what would you go back and tell yourself as advice?
I guess it's around Mum always says to stop, smell the flowers, just enjoy the ride, because it feels, and when you're in it and there's a lot and it feels like you're head down and it's a big ride. That actually I've chosen this path because I love the industry and I love the product and I'm so passionate about it. So it's around finding the joy in everything you do, which I'd like to think I do anyway. but also you need reminding of it all the time. And then to, I guess, listen to the experts, like surround yourself with people that believe in you, that have possibly been there before, even better. But surround yourself with cup full people, optimistic people.
Yeah.
Because you get so much out of their energy as well. Yeah.
Where's the best holiday you've ever had?
Oh, well, we're stuck in the repeat Fiji cycle at the moment with our kids' age.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love Copenhagen. I love Denmark. Holiday for me is really to stop, because I think even when I'm anywhere learning and excited and inspired, that's probably, again, you're still using your mind a lot. So, probably Tokariki and Fiji would be something very memorable.
Okay. So where do you enjoy being most? So you mentioned Pauanui. Is that sort of somewhere you go, which is your place, or is there somewhere else?
Yeah, either that or Tokyo.
Okay. Because they're so similar. Yeah, Pauanui, Tokyo.
Yeah, Tokyo is
Close your eyes, feel the same. Yeah.
I think I've been maybe 30 times, but I still get energised by how epic the people are, how amazing the fashion, the food, I just get a lot of energy from it.
Yeah.
But equally, somewhere by the ocean, I don't mind any ocean. I'd actually probably prefer a nice... in New Zealand, I love the East Coast, whereas Liam, my husband, loves the West, loves the energy he gets from the wind and the waves.
Okay.
So it's quite interesting. But yeah, for me, it's a nice sandy beach with a calm, book moment and a mojito, or it's Tokyo. I'm being like fully energized and inspired.
Brilliant. So running a business, as you know, is a constant roller coaster. The ups and downs, good times come followed by bad times and back to good times. We know it's a cycle, even right now too, but hopefully coming out of this one. What is the most significant thing you think you've learnt from running your own business?
I feel like too I'm kind of accidentally in business, because I loved shoes, right? And then I started designing shoes, and then I sold some more and designed some more and sold some more and done some more. And so then we needed salespeople, and then we needed marketers, and then we've got e-commerce team, and now we've got retail team. So it's kind of grown a beautiful organic journey, but at no point did I decide to be a CEO. So a lot of the learnings have been on the job in the industry, a great way to learn when things have become relevant. But I guess for me, it's like never stop learning, because there's something that will throw you just when you think you've got all your ducks in a row. Yeah. A lot of it for me is around logistics, because we are at the bottom of the world. We manufacture 12 hours away, but also we're supplying, over the years to lots of different markets. So it's been like a huge learning around... sometimes there are what you're capable of out of, being based here in New Zealand. But also, the learning around, I guess, like that continued optimism and being a leader. Like nothing makes me happier than being in a room every day with people that love their job. So that's kind of my drive, is to make sure everyone in our team feels excited and energized about the next drop, the next season, the next campaign, because it's really, there's no point, right, unless you love what you do. And that goes for everyone in the industry, in my business, across the industry. It's like marketers, designers, people on the shop floor,
Yeah.
I'm quite passionate about them being happy.
Congratulations on recently being awarded the Fashion Quarterly Accessory Designer of the Year.
Thank you.
Is that an area of the business you intend to grow and do more things in that space?
Accessories?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, sure. I guess for them it covered a category of jewellery, shoes and bags. We have shoes and bags and belts. And we do sell a jewellery line of, another brand, a Danish brand in our stores. I think I've really enjoyed learning how our customers' aesthetic, they really appreciate, say the pink shoe, the pink bag and the pink belt to match. It's kind of that model of being a one-stop shop. The last few years we've actually put clothing in our stores. We've got cashmere from London and in New Zealand. My creative director Julia Ford has launched her own brand, L'Adore. So we've got that in our stores with silk garments, which is gorgeous. And then some denim. So I think it's, again, like offering a full circle service to our customer. Essentially when they're coming in, making them have the best day of their life, making their day, whatever that means, whether they leave with anything or not, but making them, think about trying something on they might not have thought of wearing that bright colour, or matching the handbag with the shoes to go to an event, or it's gone beyond solving their problem. We want to kind of make their day and make them feel energised and excited by our product offering. So it doesn't just stop at shoes.
Okay. And what's next for Kathryn Wilson personally?
Personally, I still feel really excited definitely about the next 10 years. As I said, my girls are now 5 and 9, and that's almost provided me a bit more freedom again to think about export. We are looking at things in different markets, just in terms of our energy of looking at opportunities like Dubai, UAE, Abu Dhabi with the GP sale, like things that are happening with New Zealand, going as a brand story into different markets, possibly Singapore. It's really nice for us to think about trans-seasonal markets rather than Northern Hemisphere. You don't have to have separate collections launched as such. But yeah, I do think there's a lot of growth and scope, especially with our e-commerce customer. Again, our bricks and mortar is really important to us, and I do love having a space where people can come in and experience our brand. And really, with shoes, they like to try them on and smell them, and nothing better than taking
sort
them
of
away.
the most common speak these days I'm hearing about in retail is the introduction of phygital retail, which is the physical digital morphing, which is kind of, I think, the next extension of omni-channel retail. That's something you've been onto quite early on, I think, with embedding technology into the physical experience.
Yeah, we've partnered with Samsung for a long time to always have devices in the store, so people could either have our website, if the size isn't in that store in that location, they order them, or we do it with them online so that it's delivered by the time they get home. What I'd really like to explore is, the digital try-on. So we've been dilly-dallying with apps and things where you can try on the shoe with a photo of your leg and it will place the shoe onto your foot. But any of that kind of e-commerce growth, it's year on year we're seeing huge, numbers, and that's really exciting. So it does kind of veer us towards putting a lot of effort and interest and, investment into us growing our e-commerce for sure.
Brilliant. Going to give you some quick fire questions now, and first word that comes to your head, you got to spit it out. Okay. So these are some favourites.
I've already really revealed too much.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. Got the headline already. So quick fire favourites. What's your favourite movie?
Dirty Dancing.
Food?
It'll be a salad. Like I'm a salad girl.
Okay. Music?
Beyonce.
Colour?
Yellow.
Season?
Summer.
Drink?
Champagne.
Okay, love it. Well, Kathryn, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's almost it for this month, but here are some new and notable things happening in Newmarket at the moment. Gravity X has opened up on Railway Street. So if you fancy doing some indoor skiing and surfing, you can do that right there under one roof, the first of its kind in New Zealand. Also opening at the moment is Suru Suru. It'll be the cheapest udon noodle soup in the country. That opens up in Teed Street in the not too distant future. And on Broadway, we say a big welcome to Australian brand Baird Footwear. Also opening soon is New Zealand's first shoe spa. And if you fancy a bit of interactive gaming, try out Running Grid. Fun for all the family. See you next month. Cheers.